G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. If you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. If you could, hit that thumbs up button and of course consider subscribing to my channel. It would be truly appreciated. Now you're probably wondering what we're doing here today. Well, this is a special edition of Nothing But 90s November. That's right. This has a lot of meaning to me, so I'm going to get into it. But before I do, of course, thank you to all my new and existing subscribers. Working my way towards 1,000. That would be awesome to hit before the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed to me yet, please do. It'd be truly appreciated. But of course, all my existing subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. It truly means the world to me, and I say it every week, I know, but here I am talking about these movies, and these are things that I like. I love movies. I love watching them. I love talking about them. So thank you so much for continuing along with me in this journey. Anyway, like I said, Brainscan is the movie we're going to be looking at. And why does this have particular meaning to me? One, I really enjoyed this film. Yeah. But also, this is my brand new DVD copy right here. And this was a birthday gift from the Mad Bloods. Raoul, Posh, thank you so much. This is definitely a winner in my book. So I honestly I know I did a thank you video before, but I truly mean it's fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, let's get into the review, shall we? Brainscan came out in 1994, which was a fantastic year for me because I turned 18, I was legally allowed to drink, and yeah, that was about it. Anyway, the film was directed by John Flynn and also, according to IMDb, Dino Castelli. I couldn't find any information as to why, but John Flynn is one that's listed in the actual movie credits, so we'll go with that. Now, the film itself stars Edward Furlong, Frank Langella, Amy Hargreaves, Jamie Marsh, and trydersmith. Now, the plot and... A teenager is part of an interactive video game where he kills innocent victims. Later, the murders become real. Yeah, it's kind of like virtual reality, but reality, I guess. Now, look, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen this one, you're missing out. This is a wild freaking ride, let me tell you. Brainscan is a cyber horror oddity from the mid-90s that leans heavily on the era's fascination with virtual reality, gaming, and the fear of technology running amok. It attempts to blend teenage angst with slasher tropes and a techno-horror premise into something unique. But does it succeed? In fact, recently the film has become more of a cult phenomenon. And actor Jamie Marsh said that one of the reasons it's probably had more, views in recent years is the themes of isolation made the story more relevant to the 21st century. Due to modern technology, the epidemic and the lockdowns, a lot of people felt the way Edward Furlong's character did, isolated and alone, and dove into video games, dove into movies, things like that. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate where he's coming from there, and I can see why this film is definitely worth people rewatching if you've never seen it, because it does have some very interesting themes to it. Let's plug in, download, and get online with Brainscan.
Like Big Bushy, Ginger Ninja on the prowl, smacking on pretenders with a southern caramel growl. 60-second flicks, reviews hotter than the sun. Sword master underwater battles never done. Vodka shot, steady hand, cold as ice. Critics in the crosshairs, he don't think twice. Movie scenes dissected, sliced with precision. Beard game strong, legendary vision. Ginger Ninja, bear royal pristine. Voice flashing waves, no denying he's a king. Salted caramel lessons, leaves him in awe. Movie review, rise in waves, no denying he's the king. Salted caramel essence leaves them in awe. Movie review assassin laying down law. Bare oil packed ready for the fight. Where the sharks afflicts, he conquers the night. From silver screens to ocean depths below, ninja reigns, that's all you gotta know. Bare oil stash glistening in the light. Mixed vodka with knowledge crafted in sight. Shark fin haters, they scatter for sight. Ninja's wisdom, looking dynamite. Legends we crafted from tales people tell. Something caramel dreams in a vodka infused shell. 50 seconds flat, analyze it with flair. Ninja forever, ain't nobody compared.
Okay, so let's have a look at the cast. And look, first up we've got Edward Furlong, fresh off his breakout role in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, delivering a lackluster performance. Yeah. So he portrays Michael, the isolated teenager at the film's center. And look, while his apathetic, detached demeanor may have been somewhat intentional to portray teenage angst, it often comes off as wooden and unconvincing. And his character's lack of emotional depth makes it really hard as an audience to empathize with his struggles, and this undercuts the film's tension, especially when he comes off as a creepy stalker kid. Yeah. Frank Langella he's not given a lot to work with in this, but his performance as a stoic, no-nonsense detective is always a pleasure to see. The standout performance, however, is Trydersmith as the trickster. The game's enigmatic and grotesque antagonist. His portrayal is gleefully cartoonish and bizarre, and he has this menace, a blend of menace and campiness. You know, it's, as I said before, it's this cartoonish energy. You know, his unsettling design and exaggerated features. He's got really overlong fingernails, like really, not claws, but kind of. He's got this wide mouthish. He's got like it's just weird. You got to check him out. Yeah, he has this unpredictable behavior. He comes across as this monster, but then he's like goofing around and jumping around and dancing. He's eating raw chicken. He does all these weird things, and it makes him one of the more memorable aspects of the movie. And he comes across almost like a low-budget Freddy Krueger. And I mean that in the best possible way. Jamie Marsh and Amy Hargreaves round out the cast with a highly energetic role from Marsh as the best friend Kyle, and Hargreaves playing the love interest and object of Michael's affection/obsession, which, as I mentioned, does get rather creepy. Now on to the directing and the writing, and look, Brainscan definitely suffers from some pacing issues, particularly in the first act. Now, the concept overall is rather intriguing, but the execution can feel quite sluggish, especially at that starting point. The middle of the film as well, it kind of meanders a little, and that's before things ramp up in the final act. The dialogue often feels clunky and dated, but this is a film that was made in 30 years ago, in 1994. The character development is rather shallow. You know a little bit about Michael's history, but he is very difficult to root for. He's aloof, he's selfish, and he lacks the charisma needed to carry the film. He was a young, Edward Furlong, he had been in one role before this, breakout role, Terminator 2. I get it, but he was a teenager. He wasn't even an actor before this, never done it. So I can give him a little bit of slack for this. And I do enjoy him in this role, but I think there could have been some consideration given to him. Plus there was some behind the scenes shit that he was going through as well. There is also some confusion to the film's tone. Is this a horror movie? A satire? A teen drama? Brainscan struggles to find its identity, resulting in some tonal shifts that can be quite jarring at times. There are some moments of genuine terror, which is emphasized with this really screeching, shocking sounds. You'll know it when you see it. It's like that jin, jin, jin sound of of a violin or something. The musicians that watch this, you'll be able to tell me, like, it's just this screeching tone. I can't describe it anymore, but I'll talk about that later in the effects. But unfortunately, because of it, it also veers it into a campy nature, almost over the top thing to do. And this kind of left me scratching my head as to why they would do that to such an extent. Now, that being said, it does, however, have some really good homages to giallo horror and the black gloves, the POV shots of, killer. It's also got a very innovative and inventive premise. The idea of a video game that blurs the line between reality and fantasy, being somewhat ahead of its time. It explores themes of moral responsibility, desensitization to violence, and the seductive power of escapism, which is kind of the reason why we watch movies as well. And they actually touch on that in the film as well, which was a great part, where Michael has a discussion with the principal of the school about why he watches horror movies. It's a form of escapism. We all feel that. So we all relate to that. So that's a really good part of the writing in general. Now, I think that's one of the reasons why Brainscan resonated with the growing concerns of the 90s about video game violence and its influence, and it does definitely give it a more of a cultural reference. Now on to the effects. So look, while the early 90s CGI and practical effects are dated, I mean, it is 30 years old, they do have a campy charm. And actually, some of the effects are better than some of the movies of the same era, or even later on. And look, I felt that these special effects contributed to the film's distinct atmosphere. The blending of fantasy and reality. When the trickster first appears and he's coming out of the TV, which I think was another homage to Videodrome. I could be wrong, but pretty sure they had a scene very similar. The floating head that comes out, fills out, and then he becomes real in reality. And it's just done so seamlessly. It looks fantastic. That still holds up. Compared to some of the other films that I've watched where the CGI just was lacking. Like there was I'll say Deep Rising for an example. Great film, but that final scene with the explosion where the monster blows up into chunks and it's all square, it looked like a PS1 game. This, it just blended seamlessly. The physical effects, apart from the trickster's makeup, is pretty much non-existent. This isn't the type of film with a huge amount of gore. So yeah, there's a couple of exceptions to that. The opening scene has Michael's knee. You see some damage to that. It's quite gruesome. The knee is open, there's blood, there's meat. And then there's a foot being amputated with a lot of blood and, of course, the foot. The sound effects and soundtrack nail the vibe perfectly. There is a creepy scene where Michael is spying on Kimberly. Like I said, he's a creepy stalker guy. But it's got this, and I only noticed this when I was watching the DVD, maybe because I had headphones on, I don't know, but you hear him breathing and you hear this heavy breathing as he's watching Kimberly take her top off. And it just amps up the creep factor and also the tension. You kind of feel a bit icky watching it, but the sound is perfect. Now the soundtrack, it's steeped in a 90s rock grunge aesthetic, and it features some killer tracks from White Zombie, Primus, Mudhoney, and it really adds to the gritty edge and atmosphere of the film. So, on to rewatchability, and well, I guess you can say this is one that I've rewatched a lot. I used to own the VHS, and it was just amazing. Like, I honestly wish I still had that, and maybe one day I will get it again on VHS, because it had a very cool neon green case, and it was an awesome movie to watch on VHS. You know, had that grittiness to it. The DVD is fantastic, and the film itself has become somewhat of a cult classic now. Back then, no one gave a hoot about it. It failed critically. It failed financially. But it's one that I have always enjoyed. And, you know, even with the subpar acting, this is still a really fun watch, and I've felt it's gotten better with age, much like me. Now, overall, this is a flawed but a very entertaining gem for those who appreciate the camp and experimental spirit of 1990s horror. Yeah, it's got a bold concept, it's got atmospheric visuals, and very intriguing lead performances from Edward Furlong and trydersmith. Yeah, and this makes it a cult favorite for fans of 90s horror. It taps into fears about technology and moral corruption in a way that was, I guess, groundbreaking for its era. Overall, for a score, I would give this an 8 out of 10. There you have it. That is my review of Brainscan. Have you seen this film? If you have, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Again, I do want to say a big thank you to Sneaky Raoul and Posh from the Mad Bloods. Thank you so much. It is truly appreciated. Like, this is fantastic. Honestly, yeah, I can't. Yeah, what more can I say? Thank you. I'm going to have a drink to you guys tonight after I finish this. So, yeah, cheers to you guys. And also, thank you to everyone who's watched. And if you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. And you might as well subscribe to my channel. Like I said, making my way to 1,000 subs, so everyone counts, and every subscriber is truly appreciated. Anyway, before I dribble on, this is the last Nothing But 90s November. We're done with it. Anyway, on to next month. What are we doing? Of course, it's December, so yes, there will be Christmas horror. I mean, it was bound to happen. But it's not just horror. I'm going to be doing a few Christmas-based action films. And no, I won't be doing Die Hard. Even though that is a Christmas film, I will not be doing Die Hard. Don't feel like it. I want to try and steer clear of that one. But I will be doing some other ones. I've got a whole list of Christmas movies that I have not seen, and they will be horror or action related. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Every pushing ninja on the prowl, stacking up pretenders.